Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to have a really awesome topic, which is about how to get your deals funded. Now, before that, just a quick intro of our host organization. This event is brought to you by Real Estate IQ. And one of the core products that we offer is off-market motivated seller leads, as you see here on the upper left. And what you're getting is fresh leads that are mined directly from courthouses. And one of the biggest kind of motivator is the pre-foreclosures, where the homeowner is extremely motivated to sell their house, or else they're going to lose it at the foreclosure auction. And so as investors, we have a couple of different ways of working these leads and convert them into deals. And if you stay tuned on our classes and series, we're going to teach you how to convert those as well. All right, so let's move on here. Quick disclaimer that all information presented here are of the opinion of our speakers and presenters, and we don't offer investment, financial, or legal advice. Now, without further ado, I do want to invite our guest speakers on stage. We had them up here on our Ask Me Anything AMA series not that long ago, and learned a lot from them on how to find deals and get the deals funded, right? Kind of from a general idea sense. And today we're gonna invite them back and welcome Randy and Tamela.
Good morning.
And
good morning.
We're really excited to learn from you on the different funding sources and how to structure the deals and get the deals funded. So without further ado, the stage is yours.
Thank you. And I'm turning it over to my main funder right here.
Steve, I'm going to address residential funding today because commercial is a whole different bag. But make no mistake, cash is king when you want to do these deals. If you're in control, you have the funds, you can close when you get the title commitment. There's no hesitation. You may not, if you know the neighborhood that you're in, you may not even require an appraisal to confirm. Let's talk about an industry standard, though. If somebody has been around investors for a while, they hear about the 70% rule. And where that comes in is you want the purchase price, your closing costs, your carrying costs, which are an important feature a lot of people don't take into consideration. Every month that it takes you to do that project, you have carrying costs of interest accumulating, you have insurance, and you have taxes. Even if you're not paying the taxes right now, you still have to consider in this formula, take your purchase price, your carrying costs, your closing costs, and your selling costs. Because when you go to sell that property, you may have a realtor who's putting it on the market for you. You may be doing it yourself, but there are still costs involved in the sale. The 70% rule basically says when you take all those expenses into consideration, that you should be at 70% or less of the selling price, what they call the ARV, the after repair value. So first, cash gives you total control over it. You're not depending on a third party to go through all of their due diligence, which for somebody relatively new is probably a good thing to have. Another set of eyes on the transaction that can bring up the fact that maybe they didn't include the carrying costs when dealing with this. Another thing is, where can you get money if you don't have the cash on hand? One book that I'm reading right now recommends looking at a HELOC, HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. If you've got a lot of equity in your house, you can go to a bank, a credit union, a number of places out there will do home equity lines of credit. And that is a way of, again, you controlling the ability to make the purchase. More common in the industry is what's called a fix and flip loan. Fix and flip loans are for people that do not have the cash or do not have the ability to draw the cash from their own equity. Fix and flip loans, the lenders are looking for all of the things we just talked about. If you're going to a lender for a fix and flip loan, they want to know what the purchase price is, what the rehab costs are, and what the after repair value is. Those are three numbers that are very important. The other thing that doesn't have to do with the numbers is your credit ability, or in this case, another number, your FICO score, your credit scores. Some fix and flip lenders will lend more or less depending on how high your credit score is in. For instance, if your credit score is 720 or above, they will give the maximum loan that they offer in the market. If that same scenario is there, you found the property, it's a good deal, your numbers all make sense. If your credit score is only 620 instead of 720, they might only do 70% or 60% of what your costs are. So keep in mind that those numbers are very important to the lender. It's what gives them comfort that if something goes wrong with the deal, and a lot of deals something will go wrong with. You get behind a wall and you find ancient wiring or plumbing that's got a leak that the seller wasn't even aware of. There are problems that exist during the rehab phase, and you and the fix and flip lender want to make sure that if these jump out of the wall at you, that you have the ability to handle them. Another way, especially if you're relatively new at doing either flips or rentals, is to consider partnering with somebody who does have the experience. One, they may bring some of your financing requirements to the table, but two, and more importantly, is they might be able to help you avoid a serious mistake in the project, only because they've done multiple deals and they've probably had all of the problems that pop up happen to them. Insurance is something that's really critical in these deals also. And Tamela and I found out when Hurricane Ike hit, and we had a bunch of properties, rental properties in Galveston County, and 13 of them got hit with insurance claims because of the damage that was done during the hurricane. One of the things that would be very helpful, if you don't already have it, is to get a mortgage calculator, one that you can input the information of the amount of the loan that you're looking for, the number of years that you're looking for it, and the interest rate. When you're looking at those numbers, what is it going to cost you? And we'll just use a standard 30-year rental loan. Just because you get a loan for 30 years doesn't mean that you can't pay it off sooner, unless it's a private lender or a lender that has a prepayment penalty. Those are good to know, because a typical prepayment penalty, if you've got a rental loan for 30 years, is 5 years. If you pay it off during the first year, it's a 5% penalty. The second year, 4%, then 3, 2, and 1. So you want to know what that penalty is, just in case you decide somewhere down the road that you're going to sell the property, or that you're going to refinance it because rates come down some. We've run into situations that when we buy a property to rehab and flip, sometimes it turns out being a rental property. And sometimes when we were planning on renting out a property and keeping it, we've ended up selling it. Being flexible is good, because you don't know what the market is going to bring you. We had a very interesting situation where a lady and her mother were living in a property, and they owned it together. And when her mother passed away, she paid off her sister's interest in the property. When we put a contract to buy it, with our intent was to rent the property after we fixed it up, it turns out that her sister had put in a claim for half ownership of the property, even though her sister, the one we were dealing with who owned the house, had paid her off her interest in full. This was a good lesson in patience for us, because it took 2 years for title to be vested in her name. It cost them a lot of money and lawyers' fees to fight each other. But we finally got the property. We had kept it under contract for the whole 2 years. And just as we were about to get started working on it, somebody saw that the for sale sign in the yard, contacted us, and bought the rights to it from us for $76,000 more than we had it under contract for. So patience is a virtue in dealing with this, especially if you want scalability. Scalability is gradually building up a portfolio of rent houses. I had a client early in my career whose goal was to own 10 houses free and clear by the time he retired, and son of a gun did it. I ended up financing around 7 of those houses, put them on 30-year loans, but he had the patience and he took care of the properties, and he was able to retire very early because of an idea that he had. One of the current phrases in the market is BRRRR, B-R-R-R-R, which basically means buy it, rehab it, refinance it, and do it all over again. They're talking about using the equity that you create in the deals that you make, and just building up a portfolio by continuing to do that patiently. Another thing that we have found out is that it really makes good sense to do a good job when you're rehabbing a house. The better job that you do during the rehab, the less issues you're going to run into with HVAC breaking down or electrical. We renovated some historical homes, and they still had the old knob and tool spool electric. I would encourage that when you do a job, do a very good job, because that can save you lots of money, especially if you've got a tenant living in the house.
And I'm going to chip in here. And when it comes to financing, my advice for anybody is to find you a good broker, mortgage broker, that you can rely upon to find your money for you. That's one step that you're not going to have to be on the lookout for. If you have a go-to person that you can depend upon, and you know that they're going to have the resources to find your financing, if the deal is doable, then I would highly recommend doing that. When you're in this business of doing fix and flips, fix and rentals, or just rentals, you have to create a partnership so that you're not having to do everything, because you'll find that you don't have time to do it all. And Randy and I work really well together. Not only are we husband and wife, but we're partners, and we each bring something to the table. My passion is real estate. It's finding the properties, it's transforming the properties, that's what I love. Randy brings to the table the ability to find money for me. And I say that because he actually finds money for me. It's not just a loan. I mean, sometimes he finds me partners. Other times he finds private lenders for me. Other times he goes to bigger companies or to banks. But he has all the avenues to find the money that I need to get a project done, if the project is doable. He's also the person that, when we work the numbers together, because I work my numbers and then he works his numbers. If the numbers don't work, he comes back and he tells me, if you've got a go-to person that can find you the money that you need, they're also going to help make sure that this deal works for you. Because Randy doesn't want to be finding lenders or finding money for me and the deal's not going to work. It makes no sense for him to do that. So it's always good that he's my second pair of eyes on everything. I do mostly fix and flips or fix and rents. I love buying the older homes or the homes that need repairs. So most of my loans are for fix and flip or fix and rent loans. So he's normally finding private lenders for me, partners for me, or mortgage companies that will only do the fix and flip loans. Now, once we complete those loans, if my intent is to take that into the rental market, then he finds the lender to give me a long-term loan. And there's many of them out there. The good thing that Randy does, that I've noticed not just for me, but for other clients that he works with, is he searches for the best rate, the best terms for that individual lender. That may not necessarily be the best rate, but for the whole program as a whole, he analyzes it all. He goes over it with the lender, and the decision is made which one is the best. And that's what you also want a mortgage broker or a money man for. You want someone that's looking out for you, for your long-term interest also. In doing this, for private lenders, each private lender has their own criteria. If you have someone that works with someone like private lenders all the time, they know the criteria and they know where to go with what you have. There's a simple application that I fill out every time. And from this, he knows where to take it. He knows where the lenders will lend. He knows what I'm going to have to bring to the table for them to lend me money so that we can get this done, how long it takes to get the project closed. It's the same thing once I put a property into long-term financing. It's a simple application. You list everything that the application is asking for, and then the person that you have gone to find you the money, they will find you the best deal, or they should be finding you the best deal. You do have to have money in the bank. Some lenders require you to have money in the bank 24 hours before you close. Not necessarily that you're going to need the money. They just want to see that you have some money in the bank. Some lenders require a specific credit score or FICO score. Sometimes it's 600, sometimes it's 640, 680, 720. Different lenders have different requirements. But when you fill out all of this and you get it, and once you get that under your belt, it's just a really easy process to go through. And the BRRRR process, it's just a streamlined deal. Once you go through this, it's very easy to do. You know how to go from A to B to C, very easy. And it's just a repeat over and over again. But for permanent financing, you will have to have funds in the bank that you can show that you do have some reserves in the bank. So it's very important that if you don't have money in the bank to show as reserves, that you have an avenue to get that money as reserves. Steve has an avenue for investors that are looking for funding for reserve to have in the bank for reserves as backups. And that is an avenue to go down. And that is one of the things that Steve will be talking about, if not in this section, later in one of the other sessions. But having those funds in the bank so that you can move forward with everything is also very important. This is also where a partner comes into play. If you don't have the reserves in the bank, then a partner may be able to have the reserves there, and you work out an arrangement with your partner, and that's a decision between you and your partner. But then you can go and use that as your reserves to get all of these loans funded. I hope that was understandable.
One of the things that we're predominantly looking at with residential loans are the fix and flip, and different lenders offer different programs. We actually have a lender that offers 100% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab. We've used them. They're a good source to use, but they have a requirement that after a while can be a problem. We've done multiple loans with this source, but the more money they lend out to us, the more money they require us to have in cash reserves. Now, at the beginning, it was fairly easy. Do a couple of pro deals, but when we got into having 5, 6 going, the amount of liquidity that they required got beyond what we were able to provide. So we ended up partnering with people that were able to take up that slack. Now, the other part, that's the short-term loan, the fix and flip. Normally, you'll get 6 months. If it's an extensive rehab, they might give you 9 months. But once the work is done, if you're keeping that as an owner to rent out, they have long-term permanent loans for 30 and sometimes even 40 years. What's interesting about this is they often use a jargon called DSCR, which stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. Basically, what that means is if your mortgage payment is $1,000 a month and the DSCR requirement is 1.2, that means that your rental income has to be at least $1,200 a month, 1.2 times the amount of your mortgage. Different companies do different DSCRs. The more conservative ones might require a 1.3 or a 1.35. We actually have some lenders that go 1.0. In other words, if you've got a rental rate of $1,000 a month, your cost on it can be up to $1,000 a month. So keep in mind that there are a number of different options out there. And while one may work better if your goal is to do the least amount of cash out of pocket for you versus the best rate that's out there. So on the DSCR loans, while I mentioned one that we deal with that does 100% of both purchase and rehab, there are ones that require 10% of purchase, 100% of rehab. We actually have one that requires 20% of all costs for them to do the loan. And the thing is, if you've got that, they might have a better rate than the company that's willing to do 90% of purchase and 100% of rehab. Another thing that Tamela alluded to when she was talking was we are working on something called group funding, where we put together a fund that can do loans for people. And we would be in a position to cherry pick the loans, decide which ones are safest to do. But we are going to be putting out an invitation for those of us who want to take part in that fund. Just let us know. You can take part by funding one deal that's brought to you that you're very comfortable with. You may decide that you don't want to put in enough money to fund a whole deal, but maybe get involved in group funding where maybe 2 or 3 of you put up the money and split the interest income from that deal. So keep in mind the 70% rule. Especially if you're relatively new, have another set of eyes looking at what you're doing, and that might be just as a consultant, it might be as a partner. But at this point, if you have any questions, love to throw open the mic. Steve, anything that you'd like to add?
We got a couple of questions, Randy. I wanted to kind of bring up, and maybe, one thing. Why don't what I wanted to start with also this question. Where do you see kind of the biggest pain points? Being in the business for so long now, both of you combined with so many decades. Like, what is the biggest pain point for a real estate investor who are trying to acquire deals and get them funded? Kind of from that standpoint, what is the hardest part?
The calculations. The new people that are becoming investors, the numbers, that's the hardest part, is the numbers. Once the numbers, and when you find something, find that mortgage person that you can work with. And that's another, probably the second step in the heart, is finding someone that you can work with, that will always be honest and truthful with you and tell you these don't work. These numbers do not work. But finding the team to make you successful, it's a difficult step. I've been doing this for many, many years and have had several people working with me. Some worked great, and they moved on and created their own team. And I'm very glad and happy that I was part of helping them to create that. Other people, it just didn't work out for whatever reason. But finding the people that you can work with is one of the hardest things to do. Another thing is having the expectations of, I do not have to have any money at all to do this, is incorrect. You don't have to have all money, but you do have to have some access to some funds, whether they be your funds or partner or a line of credit, but you do have to have some funds to get financing for these deals. In our situation, we've had funds, and then, like I said, we've got 6 projects going on. At a point, we don't have the funds. We do not have enough funds to continue purchasing projects and rehabbing them and keeping them going. This is where we have to find a different avenue to make sure that we have the funds that are going to get these funded. Mm-hmm. So finding the team, starting to put together your team, is very, very important, and one of the first things that you should do. After that, filling out the app, don't be afraid to fill out an application. Don't be afraid to just do it. Just go do it, and don't become discouraged if it doesn't work out, because everybody that, if you're told no, look at it as, somebody is saving me from a bad deal. That's the way I look at it. So making sure that you have a source for reserves or money's in the bank. And when I say money's in the bank, it's got to be money in the bank. Cannot be stocks or bonds, cannot be from a retirement account. You can't have a CD. If you've got CDs in the bank, that's good, that's wonderful. Go get a line of credit from your bank with them, because the CDs, the way they look at that is that that's not cash, available cash.
It's not liquid.
So use that CD as for a line of credit. Your bank will give you a line of credit if you have CDs in the bank. So having the availability of cash, is one thing that is never really taught to investors and told that they have to have that ability. The more projects you do, or the bigger projects you do, the more cash reserves you have to have. These are things that you may not know until 2 days before you close on the property, how much cash you have to have in the bank. So having the ready availability of someone that you can partner with that has the cash reserves, or a line of credit, or as Randy was talking about, with a HELOC. These are the best things to start to know from the beginning so that you are prepared. Once that is done, it's a numbers game after that. It's a complete and total numbers game. There will be an appraisal done. Either the lender will do an in-house appraisal or they'll hire an appraisal done. That appraisal is going to tell you whether or not they're going to do 100% or what they're going to do. And one of the things that I've realized over the years is accept it, because the lender's not going to change it. No matter how bad you think that appraisal is, they're going to go by that appraisal. So you accept it. You accept the terms that they're giving you after they've gotten the numbers, or you let it go and move on to something else. But finding that person that you can rely upon and go back to every time, that is a very, very important step, and it will make your investment life much, much easier, because this person will get to know you. They'll get to know, they pretty much will have an application on hand. So when you call them or email them and tell them that, hey, I've got another house under contract, get me the money. If you've worked with them several times in the past, they already have pretty much everything on you. So it's not like you're filling out an application every single time you're wanting to do this. And you're going to have someone that has your best interest in mind. And I'm hoping that answered your question.
And talking about putting a house under contract, you're going to need to have some reserve, some kind of initial funding to put down the earnest money as well, right?
Correct. You have to have enough money to put down the earnest money and the option fee.
Yeah, and that's what we see and what we recommend too, is if you don't have a lot of funds, maybe wholesaling is the way to get started, kind of build up some reserve. And then obviously you want to kind of upgrade to flipping and, over time holding properties, because that's the path for building wealth. It
is. But you do have to have money. You will, and the amount of earnest money that you put up, it's flexible. It depends upon the what you're paying for the house. I mean, there's no really general rules out there, but the more expensive the house is, the more earnest money you're going to have to put up in most cases. The option fee, same thing. It's also going to be dependent upon where you find the house, who brought you the house, or how you found the house. But you're going to have some cash to start this project. If you are low on cash, then wholesaling is a great way to get into this. You may find something that you don't want to wholesale out, you want to keep. I'll put it under contract and go find several other deals that you can wholesale out, and then you should be getting your cash reserves. And that's one way of doing it.
Yeah, another way would be to find a partner who can help fund it.
Yes.
And I want to make a comment on the liquidity side. I still remember one of the first advice, Tamela, that you gave me when we got the deal in March, and we got some private lending for that deal. And I was like, oh, maybe we don't need that much money. Are we taking out too big of a loan and paying too much interest? And then you said to me, I still remember vividly, it never hurts to have more money than you need. It never hurts to have more liquidity. And lo and behold, we need it.
Mm-hmm.
We actually needed more than that.
Because
turned out we were short.
you never know, like Randy said, you never know what you're going to be running into when you do a rehab. Always expect surprises. Always. So it's always better to have more because you have a cushion there and you're just more comfortable. You're not under nearly as much stress, and it's just good. You don't have to spend the money. You don't have to use it, but it's nice to have it there just in case you do run into some problems and some issues, which we ran into on the SMART project.
Quite a few.
Yeah. I mean, when you're going back to looking at the properties, when you're looking at a property that someone is living in, you're not going to see everything because you cannot move furniture around. You cannot, you can't open up a wall while someone's living there to see let's see what that plumbing back there looks like, or let's see what that electrical looks like. You can't do that. And the homeowners, they don't normally know what's back there. They don't know that there's a problem. They can tell you, the shower head leaks, but they don't know why the shower head is leaking. It may be something simple. It may not be something simple, but you won't know that until you tear into it and find out what's going on. And here's something to think about, and here's something that, talking about the MART project, that we ran into that people don't think about, and that is the kitchen cabinets that were in the house they needed a few repairs, but they looked perfectly fine. When we really got in there and started doing what we needed to do, we are putting granite on the counter as the countertops. The cabinets were not strong enough or reinforced enough to hold a slab of granite.
It was flimsy.
Yes. So we had to make a decision. Okay. Are we just going to, put something lightweight on here, or what are we going to do? Because of where the selling price is, where we're planning on selling this house, we knew we had to use granite or quartz or something like that. We made the decision to tear out all of the kitchen cabinets and to rebuild, have custom built cabinets put in. This cost us more money than because we had estimated repairing the cabinets and putting countertop on them. So there's always this surprise, and it may not necessarily be the kitchen cabinets. Like I said, it could be the leak in the shower, and you open it up thinking it's something simple, and it's not something simple. We've got some major problems back here behind the wall. So it's always good to have a little more than to just have just the amount.
Yeah.
Because your lender, once your lender has done that loan and has provided you with that money, the chances of that lender coming back and loaning you more money, there's a 80% chance that they're not going to. So that's why you need to be prepared to have a little more. That's why you need that cash reserve, because it's harder to go back and ask your lender for more money. So that's something that you should remember with and have that cash reserve. Always be prepared.
Steve, one of the things that I always recommend is having, after you've gotten all of your rehab numbers set, is have another figure in there as a contingency amount. Maybe 10% of what the rehab is going to run, But if you've got that in there, if you don't need it, that's wonderful. But as we found out, if you get that surprise with the cabinets, that money is already in the budget, and you're not trying to figure out, do I have to come out of pocket the difference? Do I have to go back to the lender for the difference? Do I have to refinance the whole project to make it work? So I strongly recommend a contingency fee. One other thing that's not totally about numbers that I want to throw in, there is a general belief in the investor market that you will not find deals that are listed on MLS. There are lots of good ways to find deals: Driving for Dollars, Real Estate IQ, personal recommendations. We had what we called a bird dog when we were living in Galveston, and this woman was not only good because she grew up there and knew almost everybody, but she had no hesitancy at all. She stopped her car when she saw somebody walking into their house and said, "Do you have any interest in buying and selling this house?" And it was very interesting because we ended up not only getting that house, but that person's spouse, not spouse, their girlfriend's house, when the two of them were moving to Ohio. So I caution against the belief that you cannot find good deals that are listed by a realtor because they're going to be retail. One of the benefits that Tamela and I have in working together is she can research what has happened on that house. She'll go back and tell me three owners ago who owned it, how long they had it, what they paid for it, and having the ability to look at the numbers on that house, even though they're listed by a realtor, that may be a very good deal there. I wouldn't throw those out because it's like this person we're working with now is finding us multiple deals to look at. And as we do more with her, she's getting better and better at knowing what we do and how we do it. And so I would encourage developing relationships with realtors and having them understand what it is that you're looking for.
And another property that Steve and I have purchased was found by a real estate agent. You find someone that you can work with, part of your team. It will take a while. They're not going to immediately know what you're looking for and what it is that you do. They may not totally and completely understand that in the beginning, but the more you work with them, the more they know. Steve and I purchased a property last month. I think it was last month, wasn't it? The one in the Main Street property.
Oh, it's April.
Okay. Was it that long ago?
April, maybe? Yeah. Just looking at the numbers.
Anyway, a real estate agent brought this property to me. She listed the property that morning. At 8 o'clock that morning, it was on MLS. At 8:15, she called me and she said, "I've got a property that you're going to want." At 10 o'clock, I was looking at it. And by 12 o'clock that day, that property was under contract. She knew exactly what type of property I was looking for. She knew how I calculated my numbers. She knew what I was looking for. This was exactly what I was looking for. She called me because she knew she had a sale and she wouldn't be keeping that property on the market for a long period of time. Those are the type of partnerships every investor should be wanting and looking for. This same realtor has brought me 3 other properties. Those properties, 2 of them we've put under contract, because I am the first person that she calls when she finds something that she knows I am looking for, because she knows I will buy it. So,
by the way, it was mid-May, Tamela, so you're right.
Okay, mid-May.
Yeah.
So
So
what
go ahead,
I'm
please.
saying, what I'm saying is that there's a lot of avenues to find properties, but building that team, like with a real estate agent, with a mortgage broker, someone that can find you the money, with someone that can locate properties that, is, I call them a bird dog. Other people call them a property finder. The lady that I worked with, she liked being called the bird dog. She enjoyed being called that. She found lots of properties for me. Put your team together and work with them. Let them know what you're looking for, and you will have properties. I've been doing this for many, many, many years. Today is Thursday. I started looking at houses on Monday, and I don't look at every house that is brought to me anymore because I do my research before I do, but I've already looked at 5 properties this week. I've already made offers on 2 of those properties this week. All of those properties, with the exception of 1, was brought to me by somebody else. So I'm not out there actively having to find these deals now, because I've put my team together that finds these deals for me. My son and my daughter-in-law are wanting to get into this business, which I am encouraging them to do. And it never fails. Every time we put something under contract or we close on something, I have the very same question asked to me by my son and daughter-in-law, and that is, how did you find this deal? How did you find this property? Somebody brought it to me.
That doesn't happen overnight. That happens from years of working with people and them knowing what it is. But something came to mind with all this talk about doing a partnership. One of the things we were taught early on in our getting involved on the investment side was, don't fall in love with any property. And a real good example, Steve, is one that that we found a property in Fairfield and we thought it could be a good deal. You went and looked at it and you didn't feel as strongly. We dropped it. When you're working as a team, each person's opinion is important, and we were glad. We were glad to adhere to your choice of let's not do that one, because we do work together well, and so I recommend when you find a property, and that first one is always one that a new investor is raring to get into. They want to be an investor. They've got the money to get it started. Don't fall in love with the property. If the numbers don't work out, drop it and move on to the next one. There will always be a next one to look at.
And I'm going to throw this out. I haven't discussed this with Steve. So Steve, this is a new one.
Okay.
Steve and I work in a specific area, and we've got our circle on the map. If there's anybody out there that would like for us to work with them, to partner with them on a deal, to use our expertise, we will be happy to do that. And I'm speaking for Steve here too. But we would be happy to discuss this with you. Like I said, we work in a specific area. I don't travel all over the state of Texas anymore. Used to. I don't anymore. I like to keep my properties now, my projects now closer to home. And I think Steve is also like that, because that's our circle of properties that we want to invest in. We've kind of decided on where that will be. And it kind of includes me and him. So if there's someone out there that has never done one before, or has done one and they would like second eyes, third eyes on the project, and need a partner per se, I'll say that, we would be happy to look at the deal with you, give you our opinions, help you any way we can. We would partner with you on that. And like I said, I'm speaking for both Steve and I. So I guess, Steve, if you're not interested in that, you might better chime in and say, no, we're not going to do it. So.
I was going to add another angle where, because we have our habits of running a business, that I think if you're new, it would be good to adopt a habit, because otherwise it can be kind of chaotic. An example that comes to mind is just kind of like being able to look at your cash flow and understand when you're going to need certain amount of funds. Do you have enough funds, or how long is that going to last you? That's just the first thing that comes to mind. And just kind of being able to constantly understand that immediately helps with eliminates a lot of unnecessary stress. And then on your side, Tamela, just kind of knowing someone who knows how the project is done and the process of it, and I can sleep a lot easier, because otherwise I don't know how to fix plumbing. I don't know how to fix the cabinet problem. Like, the decision of building new cabinets, it's not an easy decision for me if I were just kind of look at it from a newbie investor standpoint. So
true.
So I really appreciate having a partners that you can trust, that you can rely on. And I think that's just so much easier to get some deals done.
It is. It's very much easier. And I know, and just a little bit about the way you and I work. I will text you everything that's going on with the properties, and I can tell by the text that you send back to me that you are like, oh my gosh, I could have never done this. I mean, yes. I can read that in your text, and it's knowing that what you're taking care of, I no longer have to do that it's wonderful, because you're doing the part that I'm not good at, and I'm doing the part that you're not good at. And that's where partnerships work. That's where groups, when you put your team together, knowing that you have someone that can do what you cannot do or you don't want to do, it makes everything work.
Yeah, absolutely. And just having another set of eyes, another, the experience that you can tap into, I really appreciate that myself. And that's why we want to bring it to our community too, is just kind of bring the experience that you can leverage. Maybe it's, who knows, it's different skills. It could be different experience. It could be funding and all that, kind of put it all together.
Steve, I want to throw in one last thing. What most of the real estate gurus out there tell you not to do is swing a hammer. Your time is far more valuable in finding and vetting deals than it is to go in there and repair a wall or install flooring. That you're overpaying for that by doing it yourself.
I agree. I do maybe add a little bit of a flavor here is I do find sometimes if I have to rely on someone, I don't know how to do the work, and I have to pay the person, right? A partner is different because we know we're on the same side. If I'm paying someone, I may feel, there are times I feel, well, is this person BSing me and, just overcharging me because I don't know what I'm doing. So there are times where I selectively kind of learn how it's done, just kind of observe how it's done, just to learn. But it's again to the point of I don't get BS, right? I can call out BS, and I learn how to do it, but not to do it for live. I just learn how it's done, once, and then I can call bullshit. Oh,
Yes.
Maybe we shouldn't say that on air, but I said it.
Yes, I agree. But I'm a little different than Randy there. I don't do a lot of I don't get involved in the actual swinging the hammer of a lot of the projects, but there are times when, yes, I will paint or I will clean, make a make ready, simply because I have the time, and it's just really good therapy, quite honestly, at times. So it's not a total, definite don't do that. Everybody knows themselves and they know what they can do and what they can't do and what they're good at. I mean, if you're an investor that knows how to build cabinets, then I would highly recommend you go in and build the cabinets for the property if that's what you want to do. So
if it what if it brings you joy?
That's right.
And like knowing that you don't have to do it, but you're choosing to do it, and you're not, doing it but you hate it, perhaps. Anyway, we can debate a lot on that, but I think we're also on the similar page too. So guys, our time is up. We have more questions for today, but because I have a hard stop, we're gonna end here. We're gonna save some of these questions for next week, and we can probably address those first before we kind of dive into the next class. Before we talk about next class, just want to encourage you, if you got a deal, you want some second eyes to submit it to, you can email that to me, and I can either look at it for you, I can forward to Tamela or some other coaches we have on our team to take a look, just kind of give you some advice on the offer, right? How, what's the potential exit strategy and all that. We have helped that. We have helped a couple of our audience look at some of these deals. And actually, I was asking Tamela last week on that particular deal. All right. So next week, we have our second class in the series, which is about funding your business. So structuring what we call the capital stack, right? So basically the different types of sources of capital that you can use to build your business. And it takes time to build that up. And so, there are times where you just got to build up your business credit, your personal credit, and all that. So it's good to get that started now. And feel free to scan this QR code and register for the event now. Thank you, Tamela and Randy. And we're going to thank you again next week to come back and share the other side, which is funding your business with us.
Have a wonderful 4th, everyone.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Have a wonderful July 4th, everybody. Enjoy.
Bye.
Thank you.